What's up, guys? Flash Frame here, and today's going to be a long video. I'm just going to give you that right now. This is going to be a long video for a couple of reasons. One, it's something that I'm rather passionate about. Two, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of information to go through. So, first off, this is a direct response video to my prior video, Friday the 13th game, unable to create more DLC, Cunningham versus Miller lawsuit. So, I've had a lot of people go to that video and be like, yo, what is this lawsuit about? What's going on? Why is Friday the 13th involved in this lawsuit? Why is the game involved in this lawsuit? The fuck is happening? So, first off, I want to address some of the questions that were asked on my last video at the beginning of this one. So, Eat Your Nugget asks, what is the lawsuit even about? Why does this Victor, he says Vincent, but Victor guy care about us getting DLC? I will be answering that further in the video. We've got hashtag fuck Victor Miller, which understandable at the current situation. What does this mean if he wins the lawsuit? Will the game be closed completely? I'll address that right now. If Horror Inc., which is Sean Cunningham, wins this lawsuit, Gunn and Ilphonic will be free to continue doing things as per normal. Which means they can continue putting out the DLC, the dance emotes, all of that, on top of their existing situation with updating the game and bug fixing. So that means new maps, new modes, all of that is fair game. If Miller wins the suit, a new agreement would have to be struck potentially with Miller, depending on how many rights to the franchise the judge decides to award to Miller. Now, we're going to get into this a little more in detail as the video goes on, but it could be as simple as Miller getting rights to the name Jason, or the character of Jason as a little boy who drowned in the lake, not the supernatural killer that we know. Or it could be as far-reaching as he owns everything. So it's really up to the courts at this point. Now, I am going to preface right now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't have a law background. I am a fan that's coming into this. I'm going through court documents. You know, I'm using kind of what I've learned from like Leonard French over at Lawful Masses, and just trying to help you guys make sense of some of this. Cody King 1994 asks, can't they just pay the guy for the movie and move on? We'll get into that in a little more detail, but again, Victor actually was paid for his work on Friday the 13th. He does not deny this. He was paid for the screenplay, and he's made residual income over the years through royalties and stuff like that. That's not a question. It seems that, well, we'll get into the reasons why Victor goes the way that he does over this here in a little bit. Douglas Sandwich says Jason's going to come back. And then Waking Fox says if Victor wins, Friday the 13th will never come back. Not necessarily. Here's the thing. Victor is on record as saying that he doesn't like the direction that the franchise went. And, like, that's fine. There's some dumb shit in the franchise, let's be honest. But what it would come down to is him and his estate deciding to license out the rights to Friday the 13th. Now, Victor's never said he wouldn't do any more movies or that he wouldn't allow any more Friday the 13th creations. Like, that's never been said from what I've come to understand. So yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen, and that Victor's gone to conventions. He knows how much people love this stuff. I can't imagine he would not want to do more movies, especially given that would make him more money if he wins. So it would all come down to just renegotiating licensing deals. Fox Ninja 4000 says, while I may not be a fan of Friday the 13th or ever played the games, I still feel for you guys. Hopefully things work out for everyone, especially the fans. Thank you, Fox. We hope so. Hentai Chicken says, rip Uber Jason. Rip Friday the 13th. So a lot of people are like, okay, it's over. It's not over. The game is still getting updates for bug fixes and whatnot. Let's not worry about that. The OG egg shooter, sad day and fuck My Little Pony. Cool, bro. Yo, I'm a Friday the 13th fan. Like, I was a horror fan long before I was a pony fan. So, like, hey, we've all got our different things. Plus, I would like to note that My Little Pony has a Jason pony in one of its Halloween episodes. Just putting that out there. And then Ghostbuster says, I hope Cunningham wins so the game can maybe make more DLCs, etc. It's unknown, though. Yeah, I'm kind of siding with Cunningham on this from a fan of the game perspective. The problem is I understand. I don't like how Victor's gone about this, but I understand. I can get where he's coming from a rights holder perspective, and from like a, yo, I created this shit, why aren't I getting more money? My problem with it is that he hasn't seriously contended this until recently. So, okay, so there's that's just a quick overview from my comment section. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. So, this is from Wes Keltner over at Friday the 13th, the game forums. Campers, you may or may not have seen the press release circling around the internet about future content for Friday the 13th, the game. We're still sorting through the pieces while trying to shove our hearts back into our chests. Once I have a clearer picture of what details I can discuss, I will. We can work on bugs, balancing, performance, optimizations, and of course dedicated servers. That's what Ilphonic are doing as we speak. I'm sorry I don't have more to share this time, but I don't want to stay in total silence on this topic. This really sucks. I need a drink. Wes. So, yeah, basically that was 18 hours ago when all of this kind of went down. So what's happening? Basically, it's a bunch of legal stuff. So, and I know that doesn't exactly answer any questions. There's a lot of questions about this that people want answered, and the problem is I'm not going to be able to answer a lot of what you're going to want answered. I've been able to piece a couple of things together that I wanted to bring to your attention. Now, yesterday, Gun Media issued this statement. When we originally learned that the game fell within the crosshairs of this legal dispute, we tried to balance the creation of new content requested by our fans against the maintenance and bug fixing that our community expects and deserves. We attempted to do both within the limits of the legal case. So, what he's talking about there is there's a stipulation of rights regarding June 2018 in the lawsuit. Now, it's been hard to kind of get information on this, but there are Basically, derivative works from Friday the 13th can't be made after that date at this point, which means that Uber Jason and the counselors and maps and all of that are considered derivative works, and just can't be worked on right now. We've been forced to accept that the lawsuit makes future content for the game, including alternate play modes, new playable Jason's counselors, and new maps, unfeasible now or in the future. Although the listed content types will be affected, we remain committed to launching dedicated servers on console and providing continued maintenance and bug fixing important to supporting our fan base. So to understand what's happening here, everything is put on hold. All development of maps, modes, Uber Jason, additional counselors, etc. has been frozen. Okay? So, that doesn't mean that it won't restart, depending on how the lawsuit goes. It just means that as of right now, Gun and Elphonic can't do anything more with the game beyond bug fixing and adding dedicated servers. No more content. That's fair. Like, I get it. This is probably something handed down by the judge in the last legal filing from last year. So Miller's notice of termination lists a date of June 2018. He's attempting to terminate the copyright agreement for the character of Jason and elements of the first 1980 movie that are currently in limbo. It lists a June 2018 date, at which point he would like ownership or at least credit for all works relating to the character Jason created after that date. Miller's attorney is quoted as saying, whereas Miller will thereby recover the U.S. copyright to his original film treatment and screenplay, this does not prevent continued exploitation by plaintiffs, which is Cunningham, or their licensees' prior derivative works, including the 1980 film and its many sequels. It solely relates to new derivative works after the effective 2018 termination date. So again, new derivative works after the effective 2018 termination date. Now, many of you will say, but hackers have gotten Uber Jason in the game. Like, Uber Jason was playable. Uber Jason was playable via that hack, not finished. Okay, there's a very, very specific difference between a playable version of something and a finished version of something. Now, I do not have a Pacer account, which a Pacer is a legal document. It's an account that allows you to view legal documents filed in court cases. So I will be linking a link to Court Listener, which is a nonprofit website that is creating links to the Pacer data. So if you have a Pacer account, you can go and look these up. I just don't have the money or the means right now to get these myself. Now, it says date of last known filing was October 19th, 2017. However, there has been movement as new as May 7th, 2018. So there was something in May that is a memorandum in support of motion. Prior to that, the last main document was a motion for hearing in 2017. October 19th of 2017. So, how far back does this go? The first filed date, according to this, was August 24th, 2016. So this has been going on since the development of the video game. However, it was assumed that there would be no issues regarding the game at the time. So, the nature of the suit is an 820 copyright dispute. And so August 24th, there were 9 major filings, including summons for those involved, a protective order. So there were 9 major filings. Filings made to Horror Inc., which is Sean, and filings made to Victor. Complaint against Does 1 through 10. So yeah, there's a lot here, guys. Like, this is 72 items, of which a few are hidden. The majority of movement in the case as of recently was August 4th, 2017. There was a response to a motion by Horror Inc. letter. Response re-60's objection by Victor Miller over plaintiffs over Horror Inc. misleading citations. Objection, opposition to objection at motion to exclude expert report and declaration of William Cole. Like, it's nuts, guys. There's a lot here. So I'm going to go ahead and link the docket in the description of the video. So, there has been a support of a motion. Memorandum in support of motion. October 19th, 2017, there was a motion hearing. And then May 7th, 2018, a memorandum in support of the motion. Between that, there were 3 filings that are not listed. So I don't know what happened there. It's very possible that something got struck from the record, or in that something was requested to be pulled off the docket for some reason or another. This happens all the time in these kind of court cases. There's often it's information that is not wanted to be made public. So I was doing a little bit of research and came across a report from the Hollywood Reporter, June of last year. And I wanted to go over a little excerpt of this with you guys to kind of bring some stuff on this. So, some light. So this all kind of goes back to the 1970s. In the 1970s, the U.S. Congress amended copyright law by allowing authors or their heirs to terminate a grant of rights and reclaim ownership. Victor Miller, the screenwriter of the original Friday the 13th, is looking to do that. but in a bid to reclaim rights as soon as next year, which would be this year. He's facing contentions from the 1980s film's producer, Sean Cunningham, that Miller wrote Friday the 13th as a work made for hire and has no ability to terminate. Now, if you take that at face value, it sounds like Cunningham is in the right here. That Victor has no right to terminate that work. Now, Victor asserts that he was working with the Writers Guild at the time. So, now both sides have filed summary judgment motions and so this is a federal matter. This isn't a state matter. This is like national level. It doesn't get much bigger than this for this case. Both sides have filed summary judgment motions, and a federal judge is set to make a huge decision for the entertainment industry. Those in the movie business haven't dealt with termination rights issues to the same extent as the music industry, but the reckoning is coming, and recent court papers filed by each side in this battle illustrate the stakes and also hint how the dispute could provoke union action. Horror Inc. and Manny Company, which are the basically Sean Cunningham, they're the successor company to the original to the company that produced Friday the 13th. Say in court papers it was Cunningham who conceived the idea to do a Halloween-type film, that it was he who hired the team, including Miller, to develop the idea, and it was he who obtained financing, and that it was he who controlled all creative decisions. So, Cunningham asserts that he's the one that decided to do this, that wanted to create this film, etc. And that he controlled all the creative decisions. Bonnie Iskanzi, I'm sorry, Bonnie, I probably butchered your name, representing the producers, which is Cunningham, writes that Miller was and still is a member of the Writers Guild, and that when he authored a script... Okay, I guess Bonnie represents Miller. That he was a member of the Writers Guild of America, and that when he authored the script for Friday the 13th, he did so pursuant to a standard WGA employment agreement. This fact is critical because the WGA, Writers Guild of America, negotiates with employers on behalf of its members to set the minimum terms and conditions of employment, which are reflected in its collective bargaining agreement. WGA members, like Miller, do not have the right to freely negotiate the minimum terms and conditions of their employment. Rather, Miller's WGA employment agreement incorporates and is subject to the terms of the WGA's collective bargaining agreement, which provides substantial employee benefits for Miller, such as minimum guaranteed salary, payment of residuals, sequel payments, and pension and health benefits, all of which Miller received over the past 38 years and continues to receive to this day. So, Miller is arguing, I did this under the Writers Guild. Whereas Cunningham is arguing, I just hired you on a work-for-hire basis. Now, if there is an agreement that is filed with the WGA pertaining to this, that would be like the nail in the coffin, and the rights would go to Miller, I think. Because that's just how copyright works at this point. However, I don't know that has happened. Back to this article. Now, nearly 40 years later, Miller seeks to disassociate himself from the same employee status by which he has collected hundreds of thousands of dollars of union-negotiated employees' benefits for his work on the film, continues the judgment motion. Miller pretends he was not an employee hired pursuant to a WGA employment agreement after all, and now seeks to reap statutory copyright termination rights ascribed only to original owners and grantors of copyright, which Miller's union employee agreement and the undisputed facts show he does not have. Okay, that makes more sense. So, this is on Cunningham's side. Cunningham's side is arguing that they hired him through the union, and because he was hired through the union, he does not have those rights. Whereas if he was hired as a for hire and had created these characters, he would have the rights to gain this stuff back. Under copyright law, if a work is made in the scope of employment, it's the employer who is considered the statutory author. So, this actually, if you go back and look at my content on the Alex Maurer versus Imagos case, this is exactly what happened there. Alex was working under contract with Imagos. Imagos owns the works that were done for Star Mazer DSP. Alex Maurer tried to fight that and say that she had legal ownership. She didn't. So, what does this mean for the situation? Well, Miller's purported rights could only extend to those elements of the screenplays that he actually created. Here, it is undisputed that Miller did not create either the title Friday the 13th or Jason character as a living adult monster who is the villainous killer in all of the 11 sequels. Instead, Cunningham created the title Friday the 13th, and Miller created a Jason character that died as a young boy due to the negligence of his camp counselors. Accordingly, Miller cannot claim any right to the Friday the 13th title or the ongoing Jason character or Jason's iconic look of a man in a hockey mask carrying a machete. Now, Mark Toberoff, the attorney representing Miller, says that the records demonstrate that no one made any contributions to the WGA's pension and health funds. The failure to provide Miller with any conventional employment benefits weighs heavily against employee status. Also, this was the 80s. Like, there was weird shit going on back in the 80s. So, who knows? Miller asserts that he wrote a 15-page treatment called A Long Night at Camp Blood and screenplay on spec at his home without daily supervision. Miller contends he worked as a freelancer over the course of 2 months and that it was up to him when and for how long he worked. The writer says he was paid $5,569 upon delivery of the first draft and $3,713 upon delivery of the final draft. He says that revisions, with the exception of a new ending, were minor. The film was released by Paramount Pictures. So basically, they're trying to argue that, I got pennies for this, and they've made millions, is what this comes down to. Toberoff is attempting to have the court honor the termination of provisions of the copyright code. Miller will recover the U.S. copyright to his original film treatment and screenplay. This does not prevent continued exploitation by plaintiffs or their licensees of prior derivative works. It solely relates to new derivative works after the effective 2018 termination date. Furthermore, as the U.S. Copyright Act has no extraterritorial application, the foreign rights to Miller's screenplay will remain with plaintiffs or their licensees. So, basically what happens here is, because there was a motion filed that Miller has terminated his agreement with Cunningham, and things are still in the works by the judge, which, keep in mind, this has been going on for 2 years already. What this means is that The rights could potentially be split. Miller could retain U.S. domestic rights that don't include the character Jason. And then Sean would be able to do things internationally. That's kind of big. Now, the problem is because this technically shouldn't be affecting the video game. But because things are in a legal limbo right now and the derivative works situation is cut off as of June 2018, that's where the problem lies. That's why this is stopped. That's why work on the game DLC has stopped, because no more derivative stuff. So that's basically where we are. So the big question, why has Gun Media stopped? Gun Media has stopped because Miller has terminated his licensing agreement with Sean S. Cunningham, and because no judgment has been made yet, that termination must be upheld until the judge makes a decision. Which means no derivative works after June 2018. So, what could be done in the interim? Well, in the interim, there is the potential for Gunn and Elphonic to attempt to reach out to Miller and perhaps work something out with his legal team. But I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, Gunn and Elphonic have already, they got the license from Cunningham. And I don't think that they're going to be looking to relicense the game for any real reason. So, where does that leave us fans? Well, it leaves us fans with no Friday the 13th content until, be it movie or game or otherwise. Remember, there's even books and stuff that get written over this stuff. It leaves us without any of that. We don't get anything new. So, the case has been going on for 2 years now, nearly 3. The only thing that we can do is wait. That's kind of where we're at. Now, this feels like a long time for a lawsuit to go on like this, and a copyright claim to go on like this. I would assume that the judge is going to make a move relatively soon. Granted, what could happen also is that the court could end up petitioned. Fans and those involved could end up petitioning the court to try to get movement on this. But I don't know. I don't know at this point. This leaves us with nothing at the moment. And that's kind of where we're stuck. And it really sucks. It really, really sucks. I was really looking forward to the Grindel map and Uber Jason. Just because I think Uber Jason looks cool. So, excuse me, what can we do? Nothing. We can hold hope that the judge rules on the side of Cunningham and that Gunn and Elphonic honor their word and continue on with the DLC that they were producing. Or, in the case that Miller wins, that Gunn and Elphonic can work something out with Miller to allow them to finish the scope of the game. But that's where we're at now, guys. I just wanted to do a video and give you all an update on the situation and kind of run down the case so that you understood where everything is going. It's kind of weird. Copyright law is just weird in general. You know, if you want to learn more about copyright law, I recommend you go check out Leonard French's channel, Lawful Masses, here on YouTube. He is, quote, our favorite copyright attorney. I highly recommend you look at his content, look at his stuff over the Alex Maurer versus Imagos case. And that'll give you kind of an idea of the legal quagmire that's going on with Friday the 13th. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, yeah, go ahead and thumbs down, I guess. And if you like what I'm doing here, give me a sub, and I'll try to get more content out to you sooner than later. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Later.